Elevation 100% proves flat Earth, and this is why. On flat Earth, we don't have curvature, we have elevation. And people always say, you're confusing elevation for curvature. And I say, no, you're confusing curvature for elevation. You think that your curvature isn't subject to elevation. So you have a globe that's 25,000 miles in circumference. There's only a limit to how many planes you can have. There's only a limit to how many flat surfaces you can have. You can't have something flat for too long on a 25,000 mile circumference. If you don't have elevation, you don't have curve. I don't know how you guys don't understand this. You're assuming you have curvature. So we look out over the ocean and we see the ship come back into the view after it goes over the horizon. And you say that wasn't over the horizon. And then when we see it come in from the horizon, we say it didn't rise up, it was just the same height because it's on a flat plane. And they say, no, that doesn't do it for them. And then we look out at 60 miles, at 70 miles, sometimes even at 100 miles, and see lights and see cities. And they say, it's a mirage. It's light infraction coming off of the globe, and it's not curved, and it's not upside down. So then we look at your globe, and we look at the flattest places on Earth, and how do they fit on your 25,000 mile circumference globe? How does 4,000 miles of flat land fit on a 25,000 mile circumference? How does that fit? So you got the salt flats in Bolivia, you got salt flats in Chile, you got salt flats in Utah, you got the Nile River, who doesn't have more than a 1 foot differential in elevation. 1,000 miles long, and there's not more than 1 foot of elevation. And it slopes down, but only a 1 foot slope. Pretty flat. So we're going to put it on a ball now. So we go look at the pictures of the salt flats that NASA gives you, and you're going to see it take up the whole Earth. It takes up the whole globe because they want to show a flat plane. They want to fit that and make it look as flat as possible because there's only a 7 foot grade. There's only a 7 foot slope with the salt flats from Utah. But then you get to places like Bolivia, and it's 4,000 miles, 4,000 square miles, and you have a 1 meter slope. 1 meter. Where's your curve? And you say elevation isn't curve. Well, then what is curve? You have a straight line or you have a curved line. If you have curve, then you have elevation. Do you not? Walk me through this. Walk me through this. Tell me how you put all these flat planes on a globe that's 25,000 miles in circumference. Now, this was the argument I opened with in my debate. I had a debate with a guy, and I knew he didn't know this argument, and he didn't have a debunking point for this argument, because there really isn't one. He just didn't know it. And he's like, you're confusing elevation with curve. My whole point with the globers is that they're assuming it's a globe. There's absolutely no proof that it's a globe. There's 100 proofs. There's 200 proofs that it's flat Earth. I mean, you can just go through the proofs. I mean, there's just so many proofs. There's just so many. It's flat. It's just plain and simple. It's flat. And elevation is another proof. The salt flats in Bolivia have a 1 meter elevation. 1 meter for 4,000 miles. 4,000 square miles. There's salt flats in Chile. There's salt flats in Utah. The Nile River is 1,000 miles long. 1 foot in elevation. 1 foot. 1 foot. So you have no curvature. Again, you have a straight line. I debated a guy recently, and I made this my opening because he said the definition of level is convexing to a curve. Now, the real definition is having no higher point convexing to a curve. But he manipulates things. He doesn't tell you the whole story. So if there was a circle, it would be the straight line within the circle. It would be squaring the circle, which you can do on flat Earth. Our pi is different. Marty Leeds squared the circle. They can't square the circle. They took Marty Leeds' channel away because he squared the circle. Elevation, though, 100% proves flat Earth. Now, not in every situation, but on the salt flats, it's just too flat. The salt flats in Bolivia are just too flat. The Nile River is just too flat. And there's so many other examples of places where there just isn't an elevation gain, all the rivers do flow downhill. You just won't find a river that flows downhill. On their globe, they're going to have a couple rivers that flow uphill because it's tilted on an angle and it's spinning one way. And if a river's going against it and it's going the other way, that's uphill. And you're not, in real life, it's just not going to go along with that. It's just the natural order of this life proves that it's flat. It shouldn't be too hard to comprehend. It's only hard to comprehend if you don't want to comprehend it. And those people are called schizophrenics. They want to live in a fake world. They want to live in a video game world. And elevation proves it, man. The salt flats prove it. The Nile River proves it. Most rivers prove it. Most lakes prove it. The easy way to say this is water always finds its level. That's what flat earthers used to always say. And then they don't like that, and they measured water, and they found a curve. And they won't accept our math because we're not mathematicians. And they won't accept our science because we're not scientists. Well, we accept our elevation because guess what? You're not land surveyors. And land surveyors won't accept your straight lines as circles. They say a straight line is a straight line. You can't make a circle out of a straight line.